Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is going to be an early walkthrough of my tiny garden center in eastern North Carolina. We had kind of a late start on getting some of the things in that make the place look like fall, because last week Irma was supposed to hit Miami and come back in at Savannah and go up through North Carolina, which is normal for hurricanes. I don't know if you guys know this, but they either hit North Carolina or they hit somewhere else and exit out of North Carolina. Like Harvey spun around in Texas for several days and then exited out of North Carolina. That's pretty typical that we get a lot of hurricane and tropical activity. But this one ended up taking a really weird route and went around Florida and went up through the middle of the country. And so I was really late getting started on things because I tabled everything because we were going to have a tropical storm. So this week we've had a really busy week trying to get everything ready and set up, and it's still early in my area. It's too early for pansies. We're in the middle of September, so a lot of the country has a lot more color going on. Your mums are maybe way more open than ours are at this point. You may have all of your pumpkins out. We have a limited amount of pumpkins just to show that we're going to have pumpkins. Really, it's supposed to be in the middle 80s this next week, and they will just absolutely melt a lot of times in that kind of heat. So I'll get a limited number in just to make sure people know we're going to have lots of pumpkins, and then I'll get the more interesting ones over the course of the next couple weeks. So here's the few just basic pumpkins that we've gotten in so far. Haven't gotten any really interesting ones or gourds in yet. This area right here at the top is, I've put all the things from our nursery up here, and for those of you who don't know, I'm closing my growing nursery. I'm actually going to do a video there next week and put the drone up so folks can see how much stuff is missing at this point. So everything up in this area up here are things that I grew at my nursery, and I like to cordon off things that get 2 feet tall and then 3 feet tall and then 4 to 6 feet tall. And then as you go this way, things that are good for screening at the end. Then all the trees are over here in the corner. These big giant 14-inch mums are absolutely beautiful. Some 10-inch mums there. On this table right here, I've got this new Jubilation Gardenia, which is really interesting. It's a beautiful double white flower right there that I hope you can see pretty well. They're really quite striking. Got lots of Encore Azaleas in different colors that are just starting to get blooming again for the fall. Laura Petalum looking good. These Dwarf variegated Abelia look really fantastic this time of year. Some dwarf butterfly bushes. Indian Hawthorne here. I love the red color that these start to get in the early fall. This is a white variety here. I've got some pinks that for some reason have decided to start blooming in the fall, which is kind of unusual. All the Camellia sasanquas are budded up. It won't be too long in the fall before we start getting flowers on these. The Camellia sasanquas bloom in the fall here, and the Camellia japonicas bloom in the early spring. For those of you who don't know, camellias are by far and away my favorite plants. I love plants that bloom when absolutely nothing else is blooming. And if you're in the green business, anybody watching my video who's in the green business will appreciate this. It's really the only time of year that we're not just running our heads off 7 days a week and can really enjoy things like camellias and winter daphne, and those kinds of things tend to be the favorites of people in horticulture business because we can actually stop and enjoy them. Of course, we have lots of Japanese maples, weeping varieties, upright varieties. They're starting to get a little bit of fall color now. I'm almost in zone 8, and we just don't get great fall color on Japanese maples here. The leaves tend to be just a little bit tattered and burned out by fall. We'll get some fall color on them. They look beautiful in the winter, of course, and beautiful in the spring and early summer. But a lot of times by early fall, they're just a little bit raggedy here. These are those dwarf buzz butterfly bushes I did a video on a couple days ago. These are really quite beautiful and bloom all summer with very little maintenance on them. Here's my wheat straw area, which was empty yesterday morning. Here's some of these Rosa Roses here, which are very disease resistant, just like the knockouts and the drift roses that stay pretty small. They really put on a pretty good show in the fall as the nights start to get a little cooler. Then we do have the drift roses and knockout roses, and all those really just kind of come back to life in September and October here where I am in North Carolina. I put a lot of things on this table that stay upright and narrow. There's a euonymus here, there's a Hicks yew here that's upright and narrow, emerald arborvitae, and DeGroote's arborvitae back here if you can see it. Sky pencil hollies are on this table, but I group all those things that can be kept upright and narrow. This is a curly leaf ligustrum right here. that you can do that with, a bigger sky pencil holly. There's a Steed's holly right here, but a lot of these are good for in narrow spaces, and of course they all work well in containers. We do lots of different varieties of blueberry bushes, grow most of these in our own nursery. One thing I haven't really started on yet is our fall containers. We made a few. I had some coleus left over, that red coleus and that yellow mum, and that asparagus fern looked great in that container. But I've got all this stuff up here staged, herbs, and there's some Swiss chard, there's some cabbage, I've got some kale, some lantana that will bloom well into October that will mix into some pots. I've got some larger yellow lantana, if you can see that, it's all in full bloom right there. And there's some Mexican sage here, which blooms in the fall here, and they look absolutely great in containers. And they're just, every one of these branches is budded up, ready to open up. That's a sometimes perennial in our area. If you plant this in the spring, most of the time it will come back year after year. If you plant this in the fall in my area, unfortunately, normally it just doesn't come back. And of course, there's just tons of mums here. Some are showing a little bit of color, but we just haven't had any cool nights really. If you can see this, the asters are just starting to bloom. Have some purple and pink varieties on those. Lots of different varieties of, there's Swiss chard here. These are big, beautiful plants. Those red stems are fantastic on those things, especially in a mixed container in the fall. They're just absolutely beautiful, and of course, as a bonus, you can eat it. There's kale here, and then all kinds of ornamental cabbages. And then every fall, we have these zinnias, which are mixed in these containers. This is a 1 gallon container, and it's got 6 plants in it, and every single one of them typically will be a different color. Sometimes you'll get the same seed in the same pot, but for the most part, they'll end up being 6 different colors, and they'll bloom right up through Halloween in our area. I've also got some marigolds over here on the end, which haven't started blooming yet, but most people in my area that plant marigolds want to plant them in the spring, and I just absolutely love them in the fall. They'll take frost like a champ and just keep on blooming up till about Thanksgiving, typically in my area. The main things we're still missing are snapdragons, pansies, violas. It's just too early in my area for those things. It'll be closer to the 1st of October when it's time to put those things in the ground. So as I continue to decorate the garden center for fall, I'll probably shoot a couple more of these videos. If you guys enjoy them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to watch those in the future. Like I say, next week I'm also going to do one from the nursery just to show you where I am at that point. So I may end up calling this video Too Much Coffee at the Garden Center. Thanks for watching.